right, let's look at this question now. The experience of gift giving can engender ambivalent feelings in gift givers. Many relish the opportunity to buy presents because gift giving offers a powerful means to build stronger bonds with one's closest peers. At the same time, many dread the thought of buying gifts. This is clearly a vocabulary question because it's asking for the meaning of the word ambivalent. On all SAT vocabulary questions, you can expect there to be a word or a phrase or a group of words that is going to act like a clue and tell you what is going to be the right fit for this word. So in this case, the first sentence, the experience of gift giving can engender ambivalent feelings in gift givers, that sentence in itself is not enough. But when you read ahead, you see a very powerful contrast between two sentences. There is many relish the opportunity, but on the other side, you have at the same time many dread the thought. So there is relish and there is dread, which are opposites. Therefore, the word ambivalent would most probably mean something where there are opposites. So if you look at the answer choices, you have conflicted. Conflicted is the word that supports relishing and dreading together. Therefore, the answer to the first question would be conflicted, B. Let's move on to the next question. The sharing economy is a little like online shopping, which started in America 15 years ago. At first, people were worried about security, but having made successful purchase from, say, Amazon, they felt safe buying elsewhere. Similarly, using Airbnb or a car hire service for the first time encourages people to try other offerings. Next, consider eBay. Having started out as a peer-to-peer marketplace, it's now dominated by professional power sellers. The first thing that I notice in this paragraph is after the first line, the second line onwards, there are a lot of examples. There's Amazon, there's Airbnb, there's eBay. Interesting. Let's read the question. Which choice best describes the structure of the paragraph? Now, this is a structure question. If you look at it, the first sentence is saying the sharing economy is a little like online shopping. And then it gives examples of online shopping. Do you see that? There's Amazon, there's Airbnb, and there's eBay. Let's look at the answer choices. The first one says, a comparison is presented and developed through supporting examples. Comparison. Do you see these words? A little like, that supports comparison. And then it says, and developed through supporting examples. We said in the beginning that after the first sentence, there is a list of examples. And if you look at some of the transition words like similarly, next, it's very clear that the author intends these examples to support the claim that's made in the first sentence. A looks good. If you look at B, it says there's an opposing principle. We didn't see any opposition there. C says strengths and weaknesses of several competing explanations. There are no competing explanations, so C is not right. D says a personal account. Well, that makes that wrong right there. There's no personal account that's provided. Therefore, the answer has to be A. All right. The next question. Let's change it up a bit and look at the question first. The function of the underlined sentence is to. All right. So we know it's a function question. So what's the author's purpose in using a particular sentence? Let's read. Most people have so-called flashbulb memories of where they were and what they were doing when something momentous happened. It's talking about people's memories of when something important happened, what they were doing when something important happened. Then there's a part in brackets, which I'm going to ignore for now, which is a good idea because those are usually additional information that you can skip. The next sentence says, but as clear and detailed as these memories feel, psychologists have discovered they are surprisingly inaccurate. So on the SAT, adjectives and adverbs are very important. I call them the editorial terms. Any word which is editorial, for example, surprisingly inaccurate, which means you don't expect it to be inaccurate, right? It's saying that these memories feel that they're clear, but they are inaccurate, and that's surprising. Now we have to find out the function of the underlined sentence. And the underlined sentence, as we already discussed, says memories feel clear, but they are inaccurate. Let's see. Acknowledge a point, indicate an unexpected discovery. Wait, it says unexpected, which is supported by the word surprising. So we're going to keep B for the moment. C says criticize a tradition. That's definitely wrong. D says propose an alternative. It's not an alternative because an alternative is some other choice that you have. So clearly for this question, the answer is indicate an unexpected discovery because the word surprisingly works. Okay. Then you have question 4. It's a fill in the blank question. Which of the following best completes the text? So vocabulary again. Mount Kilimanjaro, like the mountain which is dash in clouds, the name Kilimanjaro is a mystery. This much information is enough to answer the question because there's no transition. There's nothing that's going to link it to the rest of the paragraph. So let's read. Like the mountain which is dash in clouds. So this is a diction question. We just have to pick the right word that would fit. Let's see. Which is swept in clouds, which is surfaced in clouds. Well, B makes the least sense. Syntactically it doesn't make sense. Let's get rid of B. Cloaked in clouds. That's interesting. Where have you heard the word cloak? It's like a shroud, right? Something that covers. Vanished in clouds. Well, if you say a mountain is vanished in clouds, that makes very little sense, you guys. So we can eliminate B, we can eliminate D. Swept in clouds also. I mean, it makes no sense to say that the mountain was swept in clouds. It looks like C is going to be correct. Let's plug that in. Like the mountain which is cloaked in clouds, blanketed in clouds, covered in clouds. Works well. So the answer for question 4 would be C. Cloaked. All right, let's move on to the next question. This is a writing question. All writing questions, that's grammar and punctuation questions, we look at the answer choices first. So if you quickly scan the answer choices, you see that there are commas and then there is a full stop. This looks like it's going to be a sentences and fragments question, which means you'll have to identify whether you have a sentence or a fragment on either side of the punctuation. Let's check. So what we do is we read, since the early 19th century, doomsayers have gloomily predicted that increasing populations would exhaust their food supplies in only a few decades. They claimed food shortages would result in catastrophic famines. So when you read this, clearly no punctuation is not an option, you guys, because it's just a really long construction. Ideally, we would split this into 2, right? We would split this into 2 sentences. Since the early 19th century, doomsayers have gloomily predicted that increasing populations would exhaust their food supplies. You know what? This phrase here, in only a few decades, could either belong to the first sentence or begin the next sentence, right? But we don't have an option. Interesting. We don't have an option that puts this phrase in only a few decades in the first sentence. That's not an option at all. The only option you have is option B, which is starting the second sentence with in only a few decades. Let's see B, okay? Because it makes sense to break this long construction into 2 sentences. Let's check B. Since the early 19th century, doomsayers have gloomily predicted that increasing populations would exhaust their food supplies. Correct. That's a perfect sentence. In only a few decades, well, that's like an adverbial phrase, which is beginning a sentence, is definitely a comma after that. In only a few decades, they claimed their food shortages would result in catastrophic famines. Makes sense, right? In only a few decades, they claimed. So if I strike out the non-essential, they claimed, let's see. In only a few decades, food shortages would result in catastrophic famines. Makes sense. The sentence is complete. So you have a sentence still supplies, and after supplies, you have another sentence. There's a period or a full stop between two sentences. The answer that makes the most sense then would be B.